Hi, my name's Amanda and welcome to my YouTube channel. As you can tell, I am relatively new to YouTube. My purpose for doing YouTube is, well, I am a medium and I communicate with the deceased. Now, my journey is not your typical journey, so I'm hoping to reach out to people on YouTube that might be suffering in silence and need a little bit of guidance. Stay tuned if you want to hear about how I became a medium. So let's start the story of how I became a medium. Now, your typical story goes along the lines of, when I was younger, I would see people, I thought it was normal, everyone experienced it. That is not my journey. My journey started in 2013. We are currently 2022, so I was a full grown adult. A lot of people, the journey does start similar to mine in the sense of a traumatic experience. And that is how my journey started. We had a traumatic experience happen within our family, and that triggered a catalyst of an awakening for me personally. Now, every person is very different. For myself, when this happened, I struggled immensely because I would YouTube, I would search, I was trying to understand what was going on with me, and nobody's story was like mine. So it was really, really hard for me to not think that I was going crazy because everybody's story was very, very different. So for myself, this traumatic experience unknowingly opened a world that I did not expect. Now, let's talk prior to this experience. I was not necessarily, I'm not a religious person, didn't have any particular beliefs or anything, definitely didn't consider speaking to the deceased, nor had I ever seen a medium. So, I was just a normal, average person. So, when this experience started for me, it started with overwhelming feelings. So I started suffering with heightened anxiety, something I hadn't experienced before. Panic attacks, also something I hadn't experienced before. I would think random things. So it might be a vehicle accident, it might be somebody having a heart attack. It was extremely random, come on here, there, and everywhere. There was no rhyme or reason to it. Um, Also envisioning, I would envision things happening as well. Again, out of nowhere, I could be doing my dishes, cooking dinner, going for a walk, doing my grocery shopping. It didn't matter. It would happen all the time and anywhere. So, as this was a whole new experience for me, I literally, the honest truth is, I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was going to end up in a mental home. I didn't know what was going on with me. Depression set in. There was a lot. So I'm not necessarily a medication type of person. So in order to combat this anxiety and panic attacks and depression, I decided to take meditation classes. Something I had done in the past a very, very long time ago, but nothing I really did full on. So I started these spiritual based meditation classes, started doing meditating, which led into intuitive classes just to sort of understand and listen to my own body, my own thoughts, so on and so forth. They did not help with the thoughts or with the visions or with any of that, but it did help calm me a little bit. And this is where it all unraveled. So during these meditation classes, I would be getting the visions and I would be getting the thoughts, and all these things would be coming up. And one day, our instructor did a 1 day lesson of, well, hey, let's see if you can tap into somebody else's energy. Let's see what comes up. So I was paired with this beautiful lady, which I really didn't know much about her. I think I'd had 3 classes at that time, which most of it was based upon ourselves. So it wasn't like therapy. We didn't sit around talking about ourselves or anything like that. And during this session of relaying the information I was picking up about her, I was putting everything out to her. None of it was connected to her. However, every single thing I was saying was connected to a loved one in spirit. So I had described this person down to a T with the looks, the name, his job, how he passed, so on and so forth. Now, that day scared the absolute bejeebers out of me, and I walked out of that session and I did not go back. So I think I went into a downward spiral for about 3 months, because I scared myself. And I am one who is not critical of those who don't believe that I do what I do. I fully understand, and I understand because I have not always been like this. If you are not somebody who has experienced spirit or what it feels like to communicate with spirit, you can't be expected to fully believe this. It almost seems out of this world. Well, it kind of is out of this world in a sense. So for me, this absolutely frightened the life out of me. And I went into a hidey hole for about 3 months, didn't attend my spiritual classes, and I really went downhill. Like my depression, my anxiety, my panic attacks, everything got worse because all of a sudden I'm like, okay, so I'm hearing things and seeing things that aren't there. What is going on? Maybe I'm schizophrenic. This went on and on and on for 3 months. After the 3 months, I was basically just sick to death of punishing myself, and I figured I needed to get to the bottom of what had happened in that session. How is it that I knew all this information about this person's loved one who had passed away? So I didn't go back to classes initially. I spent so much time YouTubing and doing research, and this is where I struggled because every video that I watched, almost every video that I watched, was the same. And it was, I knew as a child I would see spirit, I would hear spirit. Now, let me clarify, I do not physically see spirit, nor have I ever physically seen spirit. When I say I see spirit, I see it as in an image in my mind. Okay, so I couldn't communicate, I couldn't connect with these people that, had them standing at their end of the beds or physically heard them talking, because that wasn't me. That is not what I experienced. So I really struggled in that sense of, well, I must be going through something else. It must be different. All these people that apparently have this connection are born with it. How is it that somebody can develop it at, I don't even know how old I was, maybe 28, I'm really not entirely sure. So I really, really struggled with that concept. And what I basically did was I spent the next 2 months reading. So I read up on mediums, I read up on psychics, I read up on chakras, I read up on energy healing, I read up on everything. I did so much research. And then I put into practice meditations and clearing energy and things like that. And it really did help calm me down. But the thoughts and the visions and the feelings. So my strongest thing that I went through, which is why I suffered with panic attacks, was the feeling of energy. The best way I can describe this is if you're in a room with a group of people and somebody walks in and you just get this overwhelming, intense feeling that something bad's going to happen or they're not a good person, and you can't describe where it comes from. You don't know how that has happened, but you can feel it, and so intensely. That's what it's like for me feeling spirit, although I feel their physical symptoms. So, for example, if somebody has died in a vehicle accident and they've obtained an extreme head injury, I might have the worst whopping pain in my head that you could ever imagine. Like, it is extreme. So to me, I think I'm dying because it feels like I'm having a stroke or something. So it's extremely full on, as I do feel the physical symptoms. So what I did was, because I was still struggling with that aspect of it, I basically just said to myself, okay, well, let's see if you are a medium, because I thought I was full of crap. I didn't know how that actually happened on that day. So I joined a mediumship Facebook page where people offer free readings. And that's what I did. I offered free readings. And I thought, okay, well, if I'm really a medium, then this information should all just come out. Well, much to my surprise, it did. And before I knew it, I had done over 100 free readings. The information that I provided these people, every single time I stopped the reading, I thought to myself, how did I know that? Where did that come from? Like, how could I possibly have known how this person passed away, where they passed away, whether they were buried or cremated, what they were wearing, what these people have done in memory of them after they've passed, this person's birthday. There's just, the information is endless. I can't, and they're all different. It's specifically different for each person and their loved ones. So, and I'm not joking you, up to the 100th reading, I was just still questioning after every single reading, how did I do that? How is this possible? And I still question today sometimes. but I know it doesn't come from me. I know it comes from a different source. So basically, that's what I did. After the 100th reading, because I gave myself a limit, I said, okay, I'll do 100 readings. If all my 100 readings are accurate, if the information comes out, it's correct, so on and so forth, then I'll do something with this. That was my journey. That was my purpose. So that's basically what I did. After the 100th reading, I went, all right, maybe this traumatic experience that happened in my family's life was a message. Maybe this was destined for me. Maybe this is my future, because I was suffering. And that was another area where I didn't quite connect with other mediums, because a lot of mediums will sit there and say, oh, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's this and it's that. And spirit is beautiful and wonderful, and the afterlife is beautiful and wonderful. But being a communicator, it's tough. It is tough. It is mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausting and painful in some ways. As I said, I'm a physical medium, so I physically feel things. And I can't tell you the amount of times I thought I was dying of a stroke or cancer, or I even had one where I thought I had sepsis. I did not have sepsis, but a reading that I had coming up, the person had passed away from blood poisoning. So I had that thought in my mind for an entire week leading up to that reading. And didn't put the dots together, obviously, because I knew nothing about this person. So my journey is extremely different to many mediums' journeys. And this is why I'm creating this YouTube channel and why I created my Facebook page, because I know for me personally, I really struggled. I really, really struggled to understand what I was going through. Like I said, literally thought I was going to end up in a mental hospital. So if I can reach somebody who has had an awakening later in life and is going through this and cannot relate to those people who, don't feel anything physically or suffer mentally or were born with this, so it's nothing to them. If I can relate to just one person and make them go, okay, well, maybe I'm not insane, and then that's my journey, that's my job, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to let you know that you're probably not going crazy. You are probably communicating with spirit. There is and has been a massive awakening shift going on for many years now. Like, I'm going on 9 years of doing this and going through this, and I'm still learning and I'm still struggling, and I still suffer with panic attacks to this day. I still suffer with anxiety, and that is just because my energy is so open to spirit. When they come in, it's overwhelming. So I still haven't learnt to just go, oh, it's spirit, it's okay. It doesn't work like that. So when you do have such a strong connection, it is normal to suffer. If I look at, there is particular other mediums that I did manage to find that do have very similar experiences to mine, in the sense of Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium. Although she had this from a young age, which I did not, she suffers panic attacks, and she has suffered panic attacks and anxiety, and she feels the physical symptoms, all things that I can relate to. Same as Tyler Henry. If you've ever watched him, you'll see him sweating in his readings. He also feels the physicals, and he does suffer with a bit of anxiety. Again, I don't relate to him in the sense that he had this from a younger age, as I did not. But we all have different journeys. We all have different experiences with this. And as I said, this channel and my Facebook page were purely designed so that I can save somebody else from thinking that they are going absolutely batshit crazy. And hopefully they can watch this and go, okay, I'm normal. What can I do about it? What can I learn? How do I help myself grow? I hope you guys have enjoyed my story about how I became a medium. I will be doing live readings, card pulls, talking a little bit more about my experience. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.